Hey there, you're listening to Movies Not Music, the bi-weekly Waves on the Shore series, in which I lead Evan through the world of the film industry. We're glad to have you here today, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode.
We're not biased, we just don't like bad music. Adrian!
Well, Jaron, can you tell what movie we watched this week?
Adrian!
Can you tell what movie I watched?
Sometimes I'll just see an attractive woman and I'll just start going, Adrian, you know? This is how we're going to start the episode. I'm going to analyze their presentation of Adrian's character. I think they do a good job of showing her like super shy, and like she's got her glasses on and she like looks kind of like I don't know, she looks kind of like a nerd. But then when she starts to become more confident because Rocky is confident in her, and thus she's like, no, I can be independent. And you see that later when she. I know we're like skipping into things, but I'm on it right now. I really like Adrian has kind of like a little sub arc because she's not wearing her glasses anymore, and she's like proud of how she looks, and I kind of like it. Anyway, we're talking about Rocky.
We watched Rocky this
week. The critically acclaimed 1976. Is that right?
Yep.
This is one of my favorite sports movies ever, and it is also many other people's. It's up there. It's up there. Evan, just good or bad? Good time or bad time?
Good time.
Good
time. Not great time, but good time.
Sure, good time. Okay.
Good time. Okay. I thought this movie was good. I wasn't blown away by it by any means. I feel like maybe I was a bit underwhelmed because everyone always hypes up Rocky a lot, and I watched it and I was like, yeah, that was okay.
Rocky excels in its mundanity, because when you think about it, it's a boxing movie, but only about 10% of the movie is boxing.
I think that's maybe where
I think you might have had some different expectations.
It's not that I expected it to be like 2 hours of boxing video, but actually, I was saying this to my dad
just boxing
before.
B-roll the whole time.
Yeah, just with the Rocky theme song on repeat for 2 hours. I was talking to my dad about this because he's like, I was like, oh yeah, I watched Rocky for the podcast. He's like, oh, that was a big deal when it came out, and I was like, I thought it was okay. And here's my reasoning to why I think it's good. It's a good movie. It's a good movie, but like, my problem with it is, we get introduced to stuff, but we never go that deep into anything. Like, we see how Rocky makes, like, maybe I'm just a bad movie watcher, but, like, we see how Rocky makes his money, like, you know, beating up people over drug money and stuff. We see how he, like, you know...
Yeah, he works for, like, a local crime boss.
Crime ring,
he's the guy
enforcer.
He's the guy who enforces.
And so we see that, and we see, yeah, he's got a crummy apartment, blah, 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 blah. He boxes on the side for money. But that's kind of, like, we get introduced to that, and that's our introduction to Rocky. And then we have, like, this thing with Adrian, where it's like, okay, yeah, like, you know, he kind of starts having this thing with his buddy's sister, but it's kind of on the side a bit because he's boxing. But at the same time, the boxing, at least in the movie, feels like a side thing. But it's like, wait, why does the fact that this guy has been randomly selected for a world title shot, why does that feel like an afterthought or like a subplot? I feel like that's the thing. Everything feels like there is very much a plot, but I don't feel like there's enough focus on any branch of it that it feels like this that you get that satisfaction at the end. Whereas it's like, okay, so we get introduced to Rocky, we get to know Adrian a bit, and that happens while he's boxing, but we don't see much of the boxing because Adrian's happening, and then he just shows up to a fight. It's a good fight, split decision loss, and the movie ends.
Yeah.
Like, right away. And I was
so, I think the
okay.
point of that, I think your analysis is actually, your kind of position or take or your experience is, I think it's valid.
Still a good movie, by the way.
This is my second time watched it. I saw it for the first time a little while ago. And for me, I think I enjoyed it about as much as I did the first time. I don't think it's a perfect movie, but I think it's really good. And the things that I really like about it are that it takes its time, and to me, the point of the movie is not that it's a boxing movie.
No, it's not.
It's more about this man, and if you really think about it, there's multiple moments in the movie that are like this. It's this man who has never really been at the top of anything. He's never been really the best at anything, but he's at deep down he's a good guy. Rocky is a very nice person. Like he's a very warm and cuddly guy. Yes, he has to enforce people, but when he goes to get money, he doesn't break a guy's pinky, even though he's supposed to, or thumb. It's a thumb. Yeah, you're right. And when he walks, he knows somebody's younger sister, and she's hanging out with not a great crowd, and he goes out of his way to take her and walk her home and do his best to convince her, hey, maybe you shouldn't hang out with those people because you're going to get a reputation for being, well, a whore. And like, Rocky is a good guy. Like, he just is. But the world tends to beat him down. Like his old trainer, was it?
Gives up his locker.
It's Mickey.
Yeah.
Mickey, he's been going there for 6 years. He's known Mickey for like 10 years, and Mickey gives up his locker to some other young guy, and Rocky's like, "Why are you doing that for? Like, that's my locker." And he's always looked at, he can't read. Like, it's never blatantly, that's one of the things I love about this movie. They never blatantly like force feed you. Like, they're not like, this is what's happening. This is this. It's like, you realize Rocky can't read because he's asking people, how would you spell that word? And they're not like hard words. Like,
I didn't even think of that.
No, like Rocky
Del
cannot
Rio.
read. It's Del Rio. Rocky cannot read or write like well, and he's not always super confident in his ability to do things, and he replaces that with like this nervous kindness. Like when he's trying to hit on Adrian for the first time for us.
Door.
He's probably done it before. There's the whole, like, there's the door thing, but there's also like when he's like trying to tell jokes to her, and she's really shy, and her sister's there, so she's like not, and Rocky's like, yeah, and he's trying to tell jokes, and he's getting turtle food, and he's nice to butt kiss the dog. What a name. This movie is just about a man who wants to prove his self-worth, I think. The movie's not about, he doesn't even win the fight. But in a way he does, because he's this guy that came out of nowhere, and he didn't need anybody else to. There were people that tried to. There were people, like his old trainer was like, all of a sudden Rocky's going to fight in the championship, and the trainer Mickey is like, well, maybe I should take you under my wing, and Rocky's like, you never once tried to help me out. I needed help 10 years ago, and now all of a sudden you want to be my friend, like that kind of thing. And Rocky's like, nah, I got this. And
the fight itself reminds me a lot.
The movie
Sorry, I'll let you finish.
The movie has the spirit of like a true underdog, I feel like. And the fact that the fight comes down to a split decision is in and of itself a win. And when we get into the next movie, the second movie, we're going to see the repercussions of the split decision. because we're gonna see
Ooh.
Apollo Creed get very insecure about the fact that he almost didn't win this fight.
I like that it actually continues on.
Yeah, yeah. And Rocky 2 is actually, in my opinion, maybe a better movie. Rocky focuses a lot on like the soul of Rocky's character, like the essence of Rocky, from the little mannerisms he does, from his ball. Like he freaking, I love his ball. The ball is my favorite character.
Yeah,
The ball is my. Like, it's Rocky's ball is like. This movie is just, it's hard to like explain exactly because it's like imperfectly perfect. Like it's not like a normal film. Rocky is this very awkward and like he's not very smart, and it's just it's so good. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, like, the way the fight plays out reminds me, for any UFC fans, of Nate Diaz and Leon Edwards, and how Leon Edwards won the fight, but Nate Diaz, in the people's eyes, won the fight. Yeah, because basically what happened there is it was a main event, or it wasn't a main event, but it was a 5-round fight. And Leon Edwards completely shuts Nate Diaz out for 24 of the 25 minutes. Pretty much all 5 rounds. And then with like 50 seconds left, Nate Diaz lands a huge left. And like Edwards, who, funny enough, his name is Leon Rocky Edwards. And he has his own crazy Rocky moment against Kamaru Usman in the first fight, which is one of the greatest moments in UFC history. But different moment, not in Leon's favor. He gets cracked, and like the thing is, Diaz probably actually could have gone in and finished the fight and like snatched victory from the arms of defeat, like exactly how the quote is meant to be.
Yeah.
In the last minute, hit this home run, but instead he rocks him, and for the last minute, he just walks around taunting him. He like flips him off. He's like, yeah, I got you good there, huh? And he's like, what's up? You gonna do something? And so even though like on the scorecards he got obliterated, like it was such a one-sided decision, he still raised his hand at the end, and everyone was like, Nate Diaz won the fight.
Yeah.
Like,
that's funny.
Oh,
That's
man.
That's cool. No,
But wait, real quick, actually it's funny because then Leon
Go
Edwards
ahead.
basically did what Diaz did, but he actually finished it. So Leon then fought for a title against Kamaru Usman, who people were saying is going to be the greatest of all time. He's on like a friggin' like 19 fight winning streak or something. He's been the champion for like 3 years. Like no one's going to beat Kamaru Usman. And Leon Edwards goes in there and he's like, you know, he does okay the first round, but then he just gets completely shut out, and it's like super one-sided, sort of how people thought it was going to go. And then with 1 minute left in the last round, he lands like a picture perfect head kick, knocks him out cold. And like that was his Rocky moment. And I remember watching it. It was after I stayed at your place. We went back to the hotel, and it was in that hotel I was watching it, and I somehow had to not scream because like it's like super late and my family's asleep and I'm sitting in the hotel room on my laptop watching it. But I remember he lands that, because you're just watching and you're like, okay, like, do I just go to bed? Do I need to see the last few minutes? Like,
yeah.
It's so much. And then he just lands this head kick, and it's just like he just dethroned Kamaru Usman at the time was the #1 pound for pound fighter in the world. It was so dope.
I mean, that sounds cool even just from you describing it. But
I'm gonna send you the clip.
I enjoy fighting as a film person. I've never really sat down and watched like a UFC fight or anything.
I can still hear John Anik, the commentator, going, but because they were saying how Leon didn't look like he was trying in the 5th round. They're like, maybe he's resigned himself to like if he goes the distance, what Rocky says in the movie.
Yeah.
If he goes the distance, maybe that's a moral victory. And John Anik's like, but that is not the cloth from which he is cut. And then Daniel Cormier's, no, I mean obviously, and then they just like freak out. Oh, dude, it gives me chills still. It's so good.
That's funny.
And then rematch, Leon actually just friggin' outclassed Kamaru. So now he's like the true champ. Like no one
Oh, really?
doubts him because everyone was like, okay, you landed like a home run
He
in the
got
last
lucky.
minute. He got lucky. And then they rematched. And I mean, you know what? Honestly, there's talks that Kamaru, since he got knocked out so bad, like he's probably just like doesn't have the sauce anymore. And Leon just shut him out. But I'm sending you the clip after because it's so
Dang.
dope.
Okay. Yeah, so I also really like in Rocky when
In the movie we were supposed to be talking about.
yes. No, but I mean I like it when you talk about the fight.
It's so perfect too because it's Leon Rocky Edwards. That's his nickname.
Paul Lee acts as a good foil in the sense that him and Rocky are both, I think, a little insecure, but they handle it in different ways. Rocky's kind, and I think he wants to do something about where he's at in the totem pole in life. He wants to be great. He believes in himself. Paul Lee takes his failures out on his sister, on his friend, and he's insecure about everything. And I like there's so much subtle storytelling in this movie where I don't think everybody necessarily immediately picks up on. There's simple things like the first time we see Rocky walk into his apartment, it feels like a nothing scene, but it's really just letting us get to know him because he walks in, he's talking to his fish, and he walks over to his bed, and he's just kind of walking around talking to himself. He looks in the mirror, and then that is the scene. Like it is him being Rocky, and
It's a good introduction to Rocky.
Yeah, it's simple, and I love his mannerisms and the way he talks, and I love that he doesn't walk in with a chip on his shoulder because he's humble. He's humble in a really good way, and it's not like Apollo Creed. They're just like Rocky comes in. He's not super trash talky or anything. He just comes in. He comes in to fight, and Apollo comes in dressed like George Washington, and he's like handing out money, and he's got his like whole American flag get up.
Very Tyson Fury getting carried on the.
Yeah, and then it's poetic, and I love it. I could talk all day about this movie though. I'm excited for you to watch the next one because I think that you'll like it a little bit more because I think it's a little bit more focused on the boxing part of it. The first Rocky movie I think is a little bit more of a character study, even though it's technically a boxing movie. Did you know that Rocky won the Oscar for Best Film the year it came out?
I can see why.
This was the Oscar winner that year.
I can see why.
It also, I believe it also won Best Writing, and I think Sylvester Stallone might have even gotten Best like lead actor Oscar for it. But here's a cool little thing, or kind of a big thing. So I'm gonna kind of summarize this, but essentially Sylvester Stallone, who plays Rocky, wrote this script and was pitching it to a bunch of studios, and they wanted to like cast somebody else, but he was like, I'm not letting you make this movie unless I am Rocky. Like, I am Rocky.
Sylvester was in on the writing, eh?
Well, he wrote this alone. He was he wrote I think there might be some other credits. Well, actually, no. Let me just check real quick. I'm pretty sure that Sylvester Stallone. He's the solo writer. He wrote the entire movie, the entire script. And he was the lead actor too. This was like his passion thing. This was
interesting.
This was like the first movie he ever did. Like this was his big thing. So the big trivia that I want to share is that two producers became interested in the script, and they offered Stallone $350,000 for the rights, which was unprecedented for the time. He had $106 in the bank and no car, and he was trying to sell his dog because he couldn't afford to feed him, but he refused to sell unless they agreed to allow him star in the film. So they agreed on the condition that Stallone continue to work as a writer without a fee, and that he worked as an actor for scale, like on the movie.
Huh.
And it got purchased, and they were envisioning like a big star to take.
So he was broke at the time. I thought he was some big name.
No. He was broke. And so the movie.
I thought he was a big star, and so it was a big deal. Like they got Sylvester Stallone in the movie.
So Butt Kiss in this movie, the dog.
Is that his dog?
That is his dog.
Ah.
But he had to sell his dog. So like at the time, I don't think he owned the dog.
Oh. Did he
And
get the
so
dog back?
Yeah. So after
good.
he made the money, he bought his dog back.
That's a cool story, actually.
Yeah, and this was his like, and obviously Sylvester Stallone is really, he's just, I think deservedly so. He's really big. He's a very unique actor. He's one of my favorite ones. Sylvester Stallone just has he's just got a unique energy around him. This is the only movie you've seen with him in it. He's very young in this movie, but he's got his mannerisms, and his speech is very unique.
Yeah. Hey, pal, what are we going to do?
The way that he talks in this movie is actually pretty similar to the way he talks in real life. And so are the mannerisms that he has. If you watch another movie that he's in, there's shades of Rocky in basically like everything.
That's funny. That's cool.
They're not all the same
That makes me like the movie a lot more now.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, man, I think if you were to rewatch this movie in a few years, you'd be like, okay. I think perspective helps.
I'm gonna bump my review up.
Oh yeah, I actually don't know if I rewatched this, but I can't. Oh no, I did review it on Letterboxd. What did I actually leave a review? I don't remember. I gave it a rating, but I don't remember.
I don't see a review from you.
Well, here, let's review. We're doing it live. Did I really not review it? Dadgum. What should I put? Dadgum it.
I got mine.
No,
Should I read mine for the folks?
Yeah, go ahead.
I gave it 4 stars, and my review is, I would have won the fight, to be honest.
If it were me, I would have won the fight.
Why go through all that work to lose? Not me.
Also, okay, so real quick, one of my favorite scenes, before we wrap this up, one of my favorite scenes is when Paul Lee gets real upset and kind of yells at Adrian and kicks them out of their house. It's not just his house, but and she asks Rocky if he wants a roommate, and he's like hell yeah. Like I like really like that scene just because I think it's funny because it's kind of, the mood's kind of down because everybody was just yelling at each other. And then Rocky goes, Rocky's like, oh, yeah. Yeah. He's like, yeah, you can move in with me. I think what's my review going to be? It's got to be something about Adrian. Adrian's like one of those, she's a keeper, you know? She's not for the, Adrian is not for the streets.
Adrian's
I think
not for the
that's
streets.
my review. That's my review, Adrian. Adrian, and not is in all caps. Adrian is not for the streets. A certified woman, bro. Certified wife.
W.
Yeah. Yeah, so, let us know your thoughts on Rocky. We're gonna, well, actually, let's just decide here. Do we want to just straight up just do Rocky, or do we want to do what we did with James Bond and alternate?
I'm down for another Rocky.
Okay, for now, let's
keep the Rocky train rolling.
And just a reminder, because it's been like 4 weeks since we talked about it, I think. There's 5 Rocky movies, original. And then there's a 6th one, which is, oh, so good. It's such a good movie. I can't wait for us to watch it. And then there's 3 Creed movies. So, that's 9 movies.
It might be a minute.
Yeah. So we could potentially do something like we watch the first 3 Rocky movies, maybe take a break, do something else, watch the next 3, watch a couple more movies, and then watch the 3 Creed movies. Like split it up into 3 little parts. So maybe we'll do something like that. So comment, leave a review on
that
Spotify.
jazz.
We could use some more Apple Music reviews. We have a lot of Spotify reviews and not a lot of Apple Music reviews. And I'm pretty sure a decent amount of people listen on Apple Music. So you.
I think you mean Apple Podcasts, you idiot.
You plebeian Apple podcast. You plebeian Apple Podcast listeners, either listen on Spotify and leave a review, or leave a review on Apple Podcast.
Dang, that's harsh.
But I love you.
I don't ask you listeners of anything but your attention. So while Jaron comes out begging for all this like review, I'm just happy you're here, man.
Evan's a liar. Evan's a bold-faced liar, and he's a Democrat. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Movies Not Music. If you feel inclined, leave a comment and a review. And if you'd like to connect with us, you can find us both on Instagram, @TheWavesOnTheShore, and at our personal accounts, @TheOvershore and @JepWatts.